Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the incredible story of how one city in India, Lucknow, went from being known for its historic palaces to becoming a global force in medicine. It's a pretty amazing journey about vision, science, and building a nation.
So how on earth did that happen? I mean, how does a city become a world-class engine for creating new drugs? Well, the answer is this fascinating lesson in thinking big, planning for the long term, and seeing how one great idea can spark an entire revolution.
And believe it or not, the whole story starts right here, inside this absolutely stunning building in Lucknow, the Chatter Manzil Palace. You look at it, and you'd never think it was the birthplace of a scientific revolution, but that's exactly what it was. Okay, so to really get why this palace is so important, we've got to rewind the clock. Let's go all the way back to the birth of modern India. It was a brand new country with some monumental challenges ahead.
The problem was staring them right in the face. India had huge public health issues, everything from tropical diseases to a booming population. But here's the catch. They had to import almost all of their medicines. They had to build their own ability to make life-saving drugs basically from scratch.
So what do? Just 4 years after becoming independent, they make a really bold move. The government creates the Central Drug Research Institute, or CDRI. This was going to be a cornerstone of their mission to become self-reliant in science.
And this plaque right here, it marks that exact moment. This wasn't just opening another lab. This was a huge statement. It was a declaration that India was going to solve its own health problems its own way.
And their to-do list? It was incredibly ambitious. They were told, okay, go discover new drugs. They were also tasked with developing contraceptives, which was a huge priority. And then, maybe the biggest job of all, create the army of skilled scientists and technicians needed to build an entire national pharmaceutical industry from the ground up.
So they've got this grand plan. They're housed in a palace. But how do you actually deliver on a vision that big? What was their secret sauce?
Well, they came up with this genius idea that became their superpower, the under-one-roof model. It's exactly what it sounds like, every single stage of making a new drug. From the first light bulb moment in a lab to screening thousands of compounds, all the way to clinical trials. It all happened right there, in-house. It was revolutionary.
And let me tell you, it worked. Big time. CDRI wasn't just publishing research papers, they were creating actual commercial drugs that people desperately needed. Things like a powerful new anti-malarial drug and even the world's first non-steroidal contraceptive.
In fact, if you want to understand just how successful they were, it really all comes down to a single powerful number: 12.
Just let that sink in for a second. Out of 17 new drugs discovered and developed in the entire nation of India, this one institute in Lucknow is responsible for 12 of them. That is an absolutely staggering achievement.
But the story doesn't stop there. Far from it. That initial seed they planted back in 1951, well, it's grown into a whole forest. So let's jump forward to see what's happening today.
Decades later, a new player enters the scene, the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, or NIPR. And it wasn't started to compete with CDRI, but to build on the incredible foundation it had already created.
And you can really see that journey right here. On one side, you've got the beautiful, historic palace where it all began, and on the other, the slick, modern campus of NIPR. It's the whole story in two pictures, from a pioneering past to a high-tech future.
NIPR's whole mission is about looking ahead. It's about being the place for advanced studies and research, and its main job is to train the next generation of leaders in pharma. It's like they're taking the torch from the original pioneers and sprinting forward with it.
Now, here's the really smart part. These world-class places don't just sit next to each other, they work together. NIPR has this whole network of partners, including private companies like Novartis. But its most important relationship is with its original mentor.
And this is the absolute key to why this whole ecosystem works so well. CDRI, the original institute, acts as a direct mentor to NIPR. It opens up its labs, shares its equipment, and provides hands-on training. This ensures all that hard-won experience gets passed down, fueling this amazing continuous cycle of innovation.
Which brings us to the ultimate payoff, the human side of all this.
Remember that third point in CDRI's original mission? To build up the country's skilled workforce?
Well, they didn't just achieve that goal, they knocked it out of the park.
The graduates from these Lucknow institutes aren't just running India's own booming pharma industry. They're working at the highest levels in global giants. Companies like Pfizer and Eli Lilly. The big leagues.
And that right there, that's the true legacy. What started in a single palace has become this thriving, self-powering ecosystem of research, education, and innovation. The whole system was designed not just to find one drug, but to power discovery for generations to come.
The story of Lucknow is just this powerful proof of what can happen when you make a long-term, visionary investment in science and education. The payoff can change a nation and even the world. It really just leaves us with one very exciting question to think about for the future.